So first things first, I wanted to do this as cheaply as possible and to make it as accessible for everyone as I could. So I figure there's a Walmart just about everywhere. So I went to Walmart and found these canvases, 2 of them for $2.97. They're pretty small, 8 by 10, but they'll serve our purposes. I knew I wanted to get some primary colored paint, so red, yellow, and blue, because I can make everything else. And then I also picked up some white and black and even a little bit of gold to add some sparkle. And I found this pack of brushes that are pretty good quality. I like that I can probably get a really fine point if I need to, and also cover a wide amount of space if I need to for the background especially. So grand total came to $10.82 for all the supplies I needed. I started off by laying down a little bit of all of my paints. You can kind of tell some of them are a little bit thicker and some are more runny. It's okay, I don't really need a lot of red in this. I just wanted to have some for darkening up the background. I always like to start from the background and then move forward. So I spread out my blue paint, and then without even washing my brush, I added some red and a little bit more blue to the very top so I could have a gradient from dark to light. And then at the bottom, I just added some white to the blue, so I have a really nice transition from the top to the bottom to try to create some depth in the background. You can see here I'm using my biggest brush to try to apply the paint for the background, and then I just flip that brush around so I can use the very top edge as a point to try to create some of these, hanging garland, or they're eventually going to just be like some metallic orbs that are sort of floating in the background. I probably spent way too much time on this, just trying to create different lengths, and eventually you'll see I go back in and try to create some highlight and shadows on these little floating gold balls in the background, but I start off just painting pure white on top of the blue. Acrylic paint dries really quickly, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time waiting for things to dry in between layers. And you can see, I guess I applied the blue pretty sparingly, so it didn't take long to dry, and I was able to go right on top with the white paint and not get a whole lot of mixture. None of these balls turned out to be light blue, but because I wanted them to be yellow and gold, I put the white down first, just so I had kind of a cleaner background to go back and paint on later. I change up the sizes and try to go from larger circles to smaller circles on the bottom, and then varying each one so they're not all the same length, just to create some interest in the background at the top. to painting our champagne glasses. Painting is a whole lot less intimidating if you realize that you're just breaking everything down into the most simple shapes you can. So started off with like a smushed oval, and then I'm making like a U shape at the bottom, and then to create the stems, I'm taking a line straight up and down on the left side and on the right, and I pinch it in just a little bit to try to create an easier stem to hold. And I do the same thing for the next glass. If it helps, you can turn your canvas a little bit so you're still painting vertically. But for me, I was able to just kind of imagine what the glass would look like if it was tipped a little bit, as if we're giving a toast and saying cheers to 2022. Maybe one of the hardest things to kind of wrap your head around is we're trying to create the illusion of liquid inside these glasses. So for the one that's standing straight up and down, you're just creating another U kind of shape inside the glass where it's not really going all the way to the edges. But then for the one that's tilted a little bit, you want to keep the top oval pretty flat, because the liquid would sort of tilt with the glass. But for the actual inside part of the glass, we want to paint more white and have it sort of fade from the top to the bottom. It's pretty solid at the very top, and then as we go down, there's less and less paint on my brush, so you can see more of that blue background coming through. To create the illusion that this liquid is actually floating inside of the glass, again, I'm leaving a little bit of space around the edges. I'll also go back and make certain parts of the glass a brighter white, a cleaner white, or a thicker line, just so it gives the impression that maybe there's some highlights bouncing off of the glass, and that those lines are representative of clear glass shapes. They're not just outlines, they're actually just the reflections bouncing off of the cups. I like to move around and paint things in layers and then move to other areas to let those layers dry while I work on other things. So by the time I finished actually painting the glasses, the inside liquid is dry enough that I can go back on top with a very, very pale yellow. I just mixed a little bit of yellow and a lot of white. You usually need a lot of white to lighten things up. I'm paying attention to the direction of my brush strokes. I'm trying to go from the outside edges in, and again, that will just help with creating the illusion that there's some haziness in this champagne. It's darker and more solid on the edges, and then as we move in, there's less paint on my brush, so it's a little bit more transparent and you can kind of see through the liquid a little bit more. While the paint on my champagne is drying a little bit, now I'm gonna fuss around some more with those details in the background. And honestly, this is probably not as necessary as I made it to be. I spent way too much time on these little gold orb garlands in the background. All of my white paint had dried, so I could paint yellow strictly on top of it, and it showed up really brightly. But it was tedious because those are a lot of circles, and I probably could have been more intentional about the size of my circles, so it really looked like some were hanging in front of others. I created a PDF for you that you can print out if you want to, and it's a little more intentional as to which ones are hanging in front of others. So as I'm painting this, some of them are overlapping. It's getting a little muddied and lost, but you'll see I don't put up with that for long. I go back and create a little bit of a darker color that I put on the right hand side of each circle, and then a lighter yellow color, almost white, that I put on the left side to try to give the illusion that there is light shining in this room and it's creating a little bit of shadow and definition for each circle. can see here, I switched to a much tinier paintbrush so I could try to get around each of those gold circles, and used a little bit of red paint mixed with my yellow to create more of an orange, kind of a darker color, to create some shadow on the right side of each of those circles. Pretty tedious, but it was important to me because it was just looking a little too muddied and fumbled together. Once I've spent way too much time fiddling around with the background and deciding to add just even some more atmosphere, kind of with the gold lines coming down from the top, my champagne glasses are definitely dry enough for me to go back with a slightly bigger brush and some pure white paint to create even more highlight. Once I have some of the paint off of my paintbrush and it's just a little bit more of a dry brush, I even go back and paint some streaks as if they're on the back part of the glass. So the ones that are in front are super bright, and then the one in the back of the glass is a little bit more transparent. Again, just all these little tricks to try to create some depth in your painting. bubbles. So I go back with one of my tiny brushes and just turn it a bit so that I can use the tip to add some white dots. The dots are more concentrated at the top of the glass. There's more and they're closer together. And then as it goes down, they sort of spread out a little bit. Once this paint is dry as well, I might even go back with a little bit of gold on the bubbles. Just can't stay away. All you artists out there know that the temptation to be a perfectionist can really annoy you. So the background still kind of bugged me a little bit, so I ended up going back with my tiniest brush and some of the pure black paint and just outlining each of the little gold orbs in the garland again, just still trying to create even more layers and depth in the painting. Thank you so much for joining me as we did a painting together. Please feel free to go back and watch this again and pause it as needed so that you can paint right along with me. I hope you were able to have some fun with some inexpensive materials and create something to mark this momentous occasion. Thank goodness 2022 is here. I hope you'll come back and join me weekly for new videos, but also every month we're going to try to do a real-time paint with me. So now you can see for about $10 and less than an hour, you can create something fun.